Merch. Did you know that Sludge Underground has a wide variety of merch for just about any person, anything you could be interested in? We got shirts, we got caps, we've got beanies, we've got hoodies, and they're all really cool designs. Plus, a big part of this is what keeps Sludge going. Any merch sales that we get allows us to make this platform better, more consistent, and allow us to do cooler things. To find our merch, go to www.sludgeunderground.store to check out everything that we have to offer. And be sure to check out our latest episodes to learn more about South African music and the state of the South African music scene. Peace.
Today, we're feeling fuzzy with 2/3 of Cape Town's voltaic art punk trio, Systematic. Gabby and Ethan. At a mysterious venue on a strange night, you get on stage to find a crowd of every ex and enemy you've ever had. Which song do you start the set with and why?
Gabby, take this away.
What a fucking question, man. I don't know. I'm guessing like Wolf Goals, because it's the most explicitly aggressive. That's the one where the lyrics are about pissing on somebody so that they know that they're your territory. I think that one would probably get the job done. But I've been used to like standing in front of people and screaming at people who kind of hate me or have beef with me for quite a while. So that sounds like a fair few of my shows already, to be honest.
I gotta say, there are a lot of options, like Tiny Boxes and Masochist, but Wolf Girls is a great one. Going through your discography, there's a noticeable shift after Soft Side. I believe that's when Ethan and James joined to form the Systematic we hear today. Am I correct with that?
You're absolutely correct.
Okay, so Gabby, what made you decide to look for new members? And Ethan, what made you join Gabby's project?
So Systematic was essentially just my producer tag. I didn't have a band. I wasn't even considering having a band because pre-COVID, the music industry was pretty different. I think people were also pretty different. Me being quite a vocal feminist and quite politically active did not like really sit well with a lot of other musicians. So I started producing music because I just didn't want to play with other people. I didn't want to have to rely on other people to be able to play. And then, I wrote Soft Side while I was busy studying music production. And around about that time, Ethan and James hopped on into my life. Ethan, do you want to take the reins from there?
I'd say I was in a band previously with some other people. I'm very thankful that I was in that project, at least to get my foot in the door with playing live music. And that's where I met James as well. We were jamming with some other people and playing some shows here and there. And I wasn't feeling creatively fulfilled. And then funny enough, then I got introduced to Gabby's music via this band I was playing with. And I checked out the music. And I think Holy Tuesday was the moment where I listened to it and I was like, this is someone I want to be working with, because I've grown up collaborating with like my family and close friends growing up, and I kind of know what I want when I work with people musically. And Gabby just hit all those like emotions and like creativity and things like that. It just hit me in a certain way that I was like, I need to be a part of this, you know?
Yeah, and Ethan reached out to me to jam, and he came over, and I was so impressed because he'd actually sort of figured out a lot of the work that I'd put on Spotify already. He'd sort of adapted it and figured out how to play bass to it, and we ended up jamming very easily because of that. I just wasn't used to other people taking my musical ideas as seriously and acknowledging and that's why for years, I was kind of like a ghost in the music industry. I knew everybody and I was still making music, but I wasn't necessarily playing with people or sharing it with other people. And when Ethan and I sat down and jammed for the first time, I really felt like, oh, wow, this person's taking like what I want to do seriously. And I feel safe enough with them that I could see us working together. And after that, yeah, I asked him, well, do you know a drummer? And James happened to be studying with me at the time, but we didn't know each other very well. And Ethan brought James on board. And that's where our magical little trio began.
I actually remember, sorry to interrupt you there, but I do remember having the conversation with James, where I was like, dude, do you know Gabby, like from Systematic? Or do you know Gabby, like Systematic? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, do you want to jam with them? Because I've been talking to them. And he was like, fuck yeah.
That's the most James thing ever.
I remember that.
Fuck yeah, man.
He was just so like amped.
Like, yeah, I'm in, brother. But yeah, it's been amazing, really. Like, that was more than 3 years ago now. 6 months after that, we recorded our first album, which is out. You've listened to it. And we've been playing gigs all over the place. And now we're kind of gearing towards our second album. It's been a really magical journey. I feel like a hobbit, and like mainstream capitalism is Sauron, and we're like the Fellowship of the Ring, but there's only 3 of us, and we're carrying the magical power of punk rock.
I'm gonna have to agree with Ethan because Holy Tuesday, there's something about it that just it's got such a good balance between its references and that unique artistic identity that you each bring to the sound. It's definitely one of my favorites.
Thank you. I actually wrote that song when I was like 21, like when I was at UCT, when Rhodes Must Fall was happening. And that's literally what the first line is about, is I slept through the revolutions. I was planning to go join a protest that day, and I got really drunk the night before and ended up missing it. And I felt like a right ponce and not a real punk, which, yeah.
It's nice that we have both versions up. Like we have your version, Gabby, and then the band version.
Yeah, the early version.
Because I like both equally.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy the mix in the one, and I enjoy our performance in the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still good in my eyes.
Thank you. I think it captures like the kind of dejectedness of being a young person who cares deeply about what's happening in the world around you, but you're sort of powerless to be able to do anything about it. And the sort of apathy that you can fall into very easily through that is like, I think that's actually something that a lot of people struggle with these days, is there's so much shit going on in the world that we're almost paralyzed by it because we feel like what little power we have doesn't actually matter. And that becomes a personal failing instead of it being a systemic fact. But yeah.
I think while we're on this, Ethan, if you could just please excuse us while we pass the Bechdel test.
Hell yeah.
Gabby, what's your current special interest?
Oh, girl, you do not want to get me talking about this because I will talk forever. Recently I found out about this frog. It's called a pumpkin frog, right? Now, this frog, he doesn't have ear holes big enough to contain the fluid. You know, little snail in your ear? He's got that little fluid. There's that little guy sitting in the fluid that keeps you balancing, right? That's, I don't know.
The cochlea.
The cochlea. She knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, so this little pumpkin frog, his ear holes are so small that he can't have one of those. So when it jumps, it doesn't land. It just yeets. And it just kind of like flails around with his little legs and just sort of like lands wherever. Like imagine throwing a toy frog. That's literally how this frog jumps. It's hilarious. Please Google it.
Please write a song called Pumpkin Frog about
Pumpkin
flailing
Frog.
around in the world
Yes.
aimlessly despite all the things that hold you back.
We're jumping with a lot of enthusiasm, but we don't know how to land.
You don't need to land. You don't need to land. You just need to jump.
Yeet yourself into the abyss, my friends.
Exactly. Okay, let's be sneaky and gossip gush about the missing third element of Systematic.
Ooh.
What's your favorite thing about being in a band with James?
My favorite thing about being in a band with James is that I get to live with James, and we have this really cute, like, brotherly thing going on where, like, we're both like quite insular sometimes, so like we don't want to talk to anybody like when we're in those moods, but like we let each other know that we love each other. So I'll just like burst into his room and give him like little hearts, or he'll just come into my room and give me a little hug and then like run away like a naughty little goblin. James is a sweetheart. That's my favorite thing about being in a band with James. He's a sweetheart, and he also is a really good drummer and really easy to work with. So love James.
I think I've looked for a drummer that could compare to my dad, because I've played with my family my whole life basically. And I think the first time I heard James play drums was at Armchair, and I think they were doing like they were playing Riptide.
Oh, slay.
And it was like, okay, cool. I know this pop song, and then James did a fill and then entered the song, and I just felt like my heart beat so fast because of how much conviction he hit those drum skins, and that to me has always been like a thing that I found so fascinating about him as a musician, how much conviction he can bring into just doing the simple thing of hitting a drum. Like, all his hits always have such a weight behind them, but yet they're so quick, you know. And as a person, I'd say like probably one of my favorite people I've ever had the grace to be friends with. He's definitely a person that you can kind of sit with and not need to explain yourself too much. Like, he's very happy with you just sitting there and not needing to sell yourself to make sure that you're not invading his space. And I really appreciate that about him, because there's very few people in your life that you can really feel truly comfortable with and you can sit together and just be silent with. That's the best thing I can say about him.
Yeah, I think that like Ethan and I we're a lot more flighty, and James he's kind of the backbone of the band. He keeps the rhythm going, but also emotionally he's the person who, like, Ethan and I are running around like headless chickens and panicking, and we've got millions of ideas, and James is kind of the person who keeps us grounded, and it's a really special dynamic.
It reminds us to feel the music, man.
Yeah, and to like get back to it.
Just trust the music, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the most important things about being in a band is intimacy, and is like learning to play with other people, and that everyone's different, and that it's not just a physical or creative exercise, it's also an emotional exercise, because you need to feel comfortable enough in your ideas to be able to express them fully. And so you need to be around people who you feel really comfortable with. And there's also this like magical ebb and flow that happens like when you're playing with people and within band dynamics, where like, and I think this is why a lot of bands have like internal fighting and stuff, because they're not like emotionally or friendshiply compatible, even though they may be musically compatible. But yeah, I think it's all intertwined, and the dynamic that we have between the three of us, I don't think it could exist between anyone else.
Now, looking at that dynamic, it sounds like you're very fortunate to get along and have that compatibility, because it's like a relationship.
It is.
So I'm curious, since there's three of you, how do you settle creative disagreements?
I don't know if we have that many creative disagreements.
I think we definitely had disagreements, like 100%. But I think it's almost like we're starting to settle in a particular direction, and we kind of know where we're going with it now. Whereas like previously we were very open to ideas, and I think the only disagreement would be if the three of us didn't feel the vibe together while playing it.
I think that's what I mean, is that like if it doesn't feel right for all three of us, then it's not happening. Like as a band, we've been playing together for 3 years now, and so we know that like the magic happens when all three of us are equally as excited about a musical development or a part or a break or whatever. And that if that like excitement isn't there, then it doesn't hit. Like if that doesn't feel right for all three of us, then that's not happening, really. Like I can think about times where we've like put a couple of songs on the backlist because we just weren't like really vibing with them, and then we didn't play them for like 6 months, and then we'll bring it back with a bit of renewed energy and maybe like add a slightly different dynamic or try to play it a bit slower, and then it works. But if like all three of us are not in sync with something, then I think that's the thing that really determines like whether we play something or whether we make something a certain way. Yeah.
And we definitely try and push. I think we both are all three of us are quite progressive naturally. And it is just it's actually pretty cool that there's been like a combination now where we know that it works a certain way. And it's so exciting to tap into that more and more as of recent, when it was like, let's say the first year like happened once or twice, second year maybe like 3 or 4 times. And now it feels like we can almost do it every week, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. And we're sort of getting to a point where we have an idea of the sound and the vibe that we're trying to create, and what it feels like when we really do hit those things that we're creatively excited about. And so we can tap into that. And over the past year, like all of the songs that we've written have come out of us jamming together. And that's been that's how ideas present themselves and develop themselves is through us working through them and developing together and figuring out, okay, that hits. Oh shit, when you go to halftime there, that hits, that stays. Okay, maybe we should speed up, or maybe we should stay here. I would say it's a lot less of a like, there isn't like disagreement. There's just like, oh, like we could make this part hit a bit better. Or
it's like a conversation more than a disagreement, actually.
Yeah. We develop these creative ideas together, and there isn't necessarily like a wrong or a right answer. This claps or it doesn't clap.
Yeah, because you compromise, especially in the writing process. One can't be too scrutinizing in the early stages. So it's like a kind of a case of going through it several times, washing it, rinse and repeat. And then if it eventually goes some way, then it goes somewhere. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's when, like you say, Gabs, it claps or it doesn't clap.
Yeah, clapstomatic.
Clapstomatic.
Yeah, it's got a clapstomatic, otherwise we're not playing it.
Now, I'm sure that instinct for what is truly systematic took some time to develop. I'm wondering which came first, the genre or the music? So, did you get together and decide, let's be X type of band and then make towards that? Or did you make the music first and then look at it and see that it fits in these categories?
That's an interesting question, because I think that, like I explained at the beginning of this podcast, Systematic was a solo project. So it was essentially just this vehicle where I was writing a lot of music that could have been played by a band. But during COVID and before COVID, I didn't find any musicians to play with. So I was like, okay, I'm writing all these songs. I've been a songwriter for as long as I can remember, and I need somewhere to put them, right? And so when I met James and Ethan, we initially started with these songs that I'd written by myself and songs that Ethan had written by himself. And you can hear that, like The Man, Holy Tuesday, Masochist, those are all Gabby songs. They're not band songs. And from some of them didn't work, like with the band. Like Soft Side, that's why we don't play Soft Side, because Soft Side doesn't really work. But I think that we kind of, I don't think we ever like sat down and decided, no, we're going to be this kind of band. It's just like there's this smorgasbord of sounds when it comes to the things that we're influenced by. James is very into his heavy metal, black metal, 90s grunge, that kind of thing, the darker, heavier sounds. Ethan's more experimental, more of a new wave baby. And I'm kind of all over the place. But particularly, I always wanted to start a riot girl band, like a feminist punk rock band.
like with Gabby's songwriting, and this is from as a bandmate's perspective, Gabs has an incredible talent for writing hooks. And I think that's very evident in all the music that Gabby writes. And I feel like you can't really put that as a genre, but it is like there is like always a line that one can attach themselves to, you know,
Yeah, I write with pop sensibility, even though it's not pop music.
doing service.
But it's like in the same way that like people consider Nirvana a pop band in a lot of ways, or the Beatles a pop band. It's like
Yeah.
there's a like specific thing, and I realized this is that like the psychology of repetition and playing with the way that people perceive music and the way that people process information, presenting like the hook is kind of like the main idea of like an essay or something. It's the meat of the song. It's the thing that like that's the line that you remember that makes you want to go listen to the entire song again so you can figure out what it's about. And so I've always written with that in mind. But I think that our sound sort of sprang up naturally from what we're just naturally drawn to and what we like to play. That's why, we're not a straight punk band.
Yeah, but also like I'd say the like first album, for example, when I kind of came into the picture, it felt like what we were doing is we were kind of adapting some like a book for a movie, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it felt like adaptations for a band thing. Whereas I feel like the next project, all of it is all three of us together because we wrote it in the practice room, and whatever ideas we came up with on the side, it only developed in the practice room. And it's very exciting to go into that next stage because personally it was a great musical exercise for Gabby, for example, to send me Over's like electronic demo.
Yeah, Over was an electronica song.
And then being given that bass line, which was like the synth bass line, and then having to kind of re-engineer it or not rewrite it, but adapt it for like a musical standpoint. And
but for a band,
yeah, personally, I've been privileged to been given music education by my mother, and because she taught me music when I was as a very young boy. But it's like that's what it felt like. It felt like adaptations, and now it's just all three of us. You know what I mean?
It's like when a writer writes a book and then they like help the director write the screenplay.
Yeah, because there's already good content to like use. I'm so glad we used it.
No, it's like we're writing our own screenplay. Like
yeah.
Written by Systematic, directed by Systematic, starring Systematic, produced by Systematic, with music by Systematic, and aesthetics by Systematic, styled by Systematic. That's like the whole thing as well. We do.
Any Room fans around would probably get the Room. Or Neil Breen.
Yeah. Yeah, we are a 3-man show. We do everything. It's great.
DIY till I die.
Woo!
So, even though DIY is quite the pillar of punk, you touched on quite an important fact of being a musician today, which is that you have to play multiple roles. So, considering you have so many credits to your name, which part of being a musician do you enjoy the most?
I don't know. It's not really a choice. I personally, like, I don't really see me being able to do anything else. I don't know if I have a favorite part, like, because honestly, like, sometimes people think to go up on stage is like the best part of being a musician. Actually, that's like really stressful a lot of the time and overwhelming. I think my favorite part of being in a band with James and Ethan is like when we find something really creatively interesting, we all get really excited about it. Yeah, I think that's the coolest feeling for me. It's being like, oh, okay, we got something new growing. We got a little sprout, a seed. Now we have to water it and see what it turns into. I think that's my favorite part of doing this, and seeing like how big we can push it, and really like surprising ourselves by how much work we can do and how much we can do for our scene. Like, it's been incredible just realizing that like we all have a capacity to do so much more than what we think we can.
I'd say one thing that I've always found in music collaboration is there is this like frequency that one taps in that is very, very hard to explain, but is one of the best feelings in the world, where there is a moment where everyone that you're playing with, whether it's private or public, and even in the public, when everyone is listening, but everyone's present. And I think that it's very easy to not be present, especially in this day and age. And I think being present at least for like 20 to 30 minutes, like to me, like I think a good show, when I watch a good show, is when I'm present for the music for at least 20 minutes, when I'm like not remembering where I'm at and I'm completely immersed. And I think that is one of the best things a musician can feel, in my opinion, because it's not technical, it's not appearance, it's not anything. It's like you're almost a vessel in a sense, and there's something bigger than you happening, and it's just there, and you're sinking into it, and you're just being like immersed in this beautiful like expression. Like it's so powerful.
I think you're so right about that. It's just, I think I don't associate it necessarily with just being a musician. I experience that when I'm in my car listening to Caroline Polachek. Sometimes it's like music is so great because you get to tap in and just really experience time. It's magical to be able to also, like at a live show, if I'm thinking about some of the shows we've played where we felt really connected to the audience, and you feel like it's not something you get to do with other people because we're so disconnected all of the time. But when there's a group of people and everyone is into the music, the musicians, the crowd, it feels like you're part of something much bigger than you. And it does feel religious and spiritual. Like, I'm not personally a religious person, but I'm definitely a spiritual person. And the way that when I feel the most spiritual is in the moments that Ethan's describing, is in that like very conscious, I'm not thinking about myself, I'm not thinking about who's around me, I'm just paying attention to what's happening to me right now. Like last night was a lot like that, Ethan. I booked a gig for Kujenga at Trenchtown, and it was crazy. We had like 200 people there, and they did an extended encore where they played Pearly for about like 20 minutes. They just jammed, and it was transcendent. Like I felt like all of these people, I don't know any of these people, but all these people are my family, in those moments. You really feel connected to the rest of the world. And I think that's extremely powerful. And then under capitalism, under colonialism, we are separated from our communities and from emotionally connected with other people. And the power of music to be able to bring people together and form that kind of connection is amazing.
Shout out punk band Kujenga, very punk.
Yeah, shout out punk band but Kujenga, hell yeah.
Yeah.
When you talk about that energy and that connection that can really only be felt in person, is there a way that you found to maybe adapt that for when you're in studio?
I try to feel it with Ethan and James. I mean, that's the point, right? It's kind of like therapy. And when we play our best, we're locked in like that with each other. So with regards to studio, I think Ethan, I don't know if you agree with me on this one, but I think we understand the brief. Like when we're going to studio, we're going to studio. There's no fucking around. We know how to play the song. We're there to play the song. We have to lock in. You can't be on your phone. You can't be thinking about this. This is happening right now. So it's about kind of just staying focused.
Yeah, it's difficult to do that when you're engineering it yourself.
Yeah.
But we seem to be doing that every single time, and with some help here and there.
Yeah.
But it's like
but it's like when we're playing, we know that we all have to be there on that intimate, emotionally open level to be able to receive and work with each other. And on stage as well, like if we're not connected like that, we don't play good. we can feel it. Like I can feel it when Ethan or James are a little distracted. They can feel it when I'm a little distracted. Yeah, we're all tethered to each other.
And aside of that will to be extremely present, is there maybe a piece of gear that you think is integral to the systematic sound?
Ethan's P bass.
Oh, what was the question? The year?
The gear.
Oh, the gear. You say it's my precision Fender bass?
Yes.
You know, I think in a way, because I come from a background where there was constantly instruments filtering in and out of the house because, you know, from a church background, like growing up, we would always have meetings at the house and band practice for church at the house. And then my late grandfather had a blues band that we used to jam at my house on the Monday night. And so it was like a lot of music all the time. I mean, I don't know how the neighbors have been so nice to us this whole time, but they must be liking the music that's been coming out of the house. But
it might be hard of hearing.
maybe. I mean, the thing is, the thing is, when we've done a systematic practice there, like a proper one, we heard complaints. So it's like, I think they wanted like, they're fine with like sort of chill music and some blues.
Okay.
But not to go away from the point here is I've just had the amazing privilege of having so many different musicians coming in and out of the house. And basically, I got given the precision Fender bass by a harmonica player, Greg Smith, who still plays in that classic blues band, Boulevard Blues. I think they still do shows here and there, but they're all like, they've really served their time in the music industry and they've really like done their thing. And so that it's just crazy how it just kind of fell into my lap having that bass. But then on top of that, you know, then getting the time to find a specific pedal, like a distortion pedal, like within the first month of joining Gabby and James, which I think has become a very like integral part of systematic sound, is that fuzz tone. And the fact that it's now kind of become like a rhythm section and like a glue, which I've also think I've been trying to do more of, be less flashy, but also the fact that it's like sort of a lead guitar tone in a sense, because you can do so much with a bass that's giving fuzz tone that can have a lot of like highs and mids rather than just low end.
Yeah. Fun fact about systematic is that I'm not playing lead guitar. Ethan's playing lead guitar on the bass. I'm playing rhythm guitar because I also have to sing.
Big fan of, let's just say I'm a big fan of Joy Division.
Yeah.
I really like Peter Hook's bass playing, and that's kind of where I kind of stemmed from.
But Ethan has a lot more time and energy to do the melodic work of the band, and then I can just focus on providing texture with my guitar. And like through the band, I've become a much better guitarist. I don't think that I'm a particularly good guitarist, but I've become a much better guitarist, and I've developed my own style.
Do you play power chords like no other, dude? Like genuinely.
I'm a chugger.
Yeah, dude.
She chugs.
It's like
chug, 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 chug.
But like you do it cock fast, bro.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah, dude.
But it's like, yeah, because I'm the lead singer, so I'm doing all the like. That's kind of what I'm focused on, at least. And the guitar is kind of this extra thing that I get to bring out to really like chug up the parts that I really want to hit. But it's nice because I think a lot of people like think bassists are lazy and they don't do a lot. And I also think that's the thing with all like great 3-piece bands. You look at the bass player and you're like, oh no, everyone here is a really good musician. So that's why they can be a 3-piece band. That's why they don't need a lead guitarist. Yeah. Do you remember when people used to tell us that I should just drop the guitar and we should just get a guitarist? That's funny. That's fucking funny.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't agree with that, because I think you've developed and you're continually developing some incredible stuff. Yeah. So just like, I think we try not to let anyone, you know, sort of speak their opinion too much, or like at least we won't like receive their opinion too much, because I mean everyone's going to give their opinion whether we like it or not. But
People used to tell me a lot when we started, and I was just like,
Yeah.
"Fuck off, don't talk to me."
yeah, it's dude, it's all part of it, like because they feel that they are allowed to tell you that. It's like, it's funny.
Yeah. I also just love that there's been a tangible change in how people treat me as a woman in the music industry in Cape Town in the past few years. When we started the band, they were like, you know what you're doing though? I think you should get another guitarist. Like, you're a really good singer though, but you need this, you need that. I was like, no, don't tell me what to do. We got this. And nobody ever says things like that to us anymore. It's great.
What get this, right? To even it out, several people have told me to use a plectrum, and in my head, like I listen, I receive what they say and I go, okay, but in my head I'm like, no, fuck no.
Yeah.
I don't care how many calluses I put on my fingers. As of this moment, I might change my mind. There is too much for me to do with my fingers. Just use a plectrum, and I feel like, and it's just where one has to be stubborn. Unfortunately, if you're trying to be consistent in your creative output, and there's like some stubbornness involved.
Oh yeah.
So I agree with Gabs in that sense, you know.
I also just like get a kick out of, I think it's called demand avoidance. It's like when someone tells me how I should be doing something, I really like telling them to fuck off. Like, even if they're right, I'll be like, no, fuck off.
Yeah, and it's okay to also admit that they're right, you know.
Yeah, but they're not right about me not playing guitar.
No, they're
That's
not.
what I'm saying.
No, they're not. No.
Those people don't get it, won't get it. Other than each other, who do you trust for creative feedback then?
I think we've got, like, we have a community of people around us that we've stayed with and that we trust. We appreciate their art and what they're doing for the scene. So they're, I guess it's they're equals in our creative community. I would say people like Tyler and Cam from Black Wrath have been really amazing since the beginning of this, in helping us to develop what we're doing.
No, those sister shows on the first year went off, man. It was so cool.
Yo, Club-Symptomatic. And yeah, I don't think we're not open to receiving feedback, but yeah, it's really usually from people who, you know, we trust and people whose art we take seriously. We also have some friends who work with aesthetics. Josh Reinecke and Johnny Adams have really helped us out in our first year getting our branding together, and, you know, helped us to develop our kind of DIY punky style. Recently, we've been working a lot with Kobe, who is one of our favorite photographers in Cape Town. He's also been giving us a lot of aesthetic advice and input. But yeah, we like working with other people who are also trying to do something cool and to see what we're doing, and collaborating with people who are also trying to contribute to, like, creating a really good countercultural music and art scene. And we're always willing to, you know, to show up and to be there for artists that we think are doing important things as well.
I'd say also I think Gabby also I've had a couple of fun interactions, and like I've become a really good friend with Neil, who is now doing a really sick band. I think it's a band or like a collective, but it's called Broken Telephone. And I think when I met him initially, we started hanging out, and I've enjoyed hearing his feedback, because I mean he's been in bands like with Pixels and all that, and it's been really great to have a connection of relatability, where it's like, you know, I'm going through things that he's been through, and he can tell me like, oh, this is like that, like don't worry about this, you know, because personally I'm a continually like self-critical person, especially when it comes to creativity, and I hold myself very strong with if I'm not doing something fully. And it's nice to have artists that you respect who are also doing some really good music. I mean, definitely check out their singles. They're doing shows now. But it's like, it helps to have people that you respect musically, and also people that you respect as people, just giving you their opinion, because they know how to tell you that they know how to give their opinion the correct way. Whereas someone outside of the circle might not be able to say it the right way. And then it takes a bit of time to understand or receive where they're coming from. But in that way, I think it's important, because we need a peer's opinion. Like, I mean, I even from my girlfriend, I feel has a really good taste in music, and I often speak to her about things, and she has a really good opinion about things, and it's nice to have that. And to, like with creatives, creatives are scared to let people in, but when you do, like in short amounts, it's actually very important, because it gets you out of your little world that you find yourself in constantly, and you don't get stuck.
I think it's more useful to think of it as like an ecosystem of like there are people who are also trying to create something and who have similar values to you, and you aesthetically recognize what they're doing, and just being in a constant sort of communication and in a community with other artists, it inherently makes you better than you do. I actually don't like to think about it as critique. I like to think about it as development and discussion. It's like when I get together with my friends who are also artists or also doing things, we're talking about what we're doing, and we're giving each other ideas. We're being like, wow, this is cool. Or like, wow, what if you did this? Or like, oh my God, if you put a drum and bass break in the middle of this metal song, that would be absolutely crazy. And it's that kind of support, and also that being around people who are also like committed and like making this cool stuff. It helps to motivate me. I've found like I've been a lot more creatively productive since I've been hanging out with more people who are also devoting a lot of their time and energy to their music, because there's this culture of like, I want to help you refine your idea and your project to the best that it can be, and vice versa. And there's this exchange of energy and ideas and support. I think we're really blessed to have found that. And also, I think in a way, it kind of made that in our communities. When I was growing up, the band scene was a lot more cagey. People weren't willing to share their experiences and to talk about what they were doing. And it was very like divided by like the kind of music that you were making. But when I meet other people who are making cool stuff, like I want to talk to them about their stuff, and I want to tell them about my stuff and hear what they have to say about it, And I think that like it's much more productive to, instead of thinking about musical critique, just thinking about how we can create these communities where we can all help support each other to make our ideas the best that they can be.
I think that Cape Town has that in common with Durban then, because that scene is very much predicated on your willingness to collaborate. And if you end up making enemies when you need each other, then you're just going to thin out your community until you have no one left. So it's very important to pitch in.
I think we learned this from Tyler and Cam, who are from Durban, actually. So what you're saying is so right.
Durban spreading the sharing spirit.
Yeah, no, like Tyler and Cam and a lot of the Durban cats, Will, Savannah, all of those people, we met them when we started as a band, and they were the people who were like, yes, let's go. We want to play with you, and we learned that kind of musical enthusiasm from them. And so we've treated other bands that have come up like that. Come, we'll book for you. Come, let's do this. And just being willing to help each other out. Yeah, I definitely learned that from people from Durban. So that makes a lot of sense.
Now, you guys are quite a thrilling ticket to get, and you've played over 40 shows as a trio so far. So tell me about the best one. What's the best night out that you've had together?
Oh, Ethan, what do you think?
I think that one of the best ones, and it comes to my mind, so it has to be the one that I'll have to think about, because the rest of them have been great. We've had some very good moments this year as well. And I think we've had some really good moments the second year. But I'd say the first year, when we did our first proper EOSified like setup of a stage production, like setting up mannequins, putting up a film edit, and dressing the stage with like pinks and stuff with Sisters and us at Armchair, where we were so unsure if the load shedding was going to hit us while we were playing, but it managed to. And there's a reel, it's on our Instagram, is a reel of us showing what happened where we did Dissolved Gold by Massive Attack. And we were pushing it later because we really wanted to play it, but we didn't want it to get cut by the power. And the moment we finished the song, the lights went off. It was ridiculous. It's still one of my favorite moments in my entire life, how everything aligned perfectly for that. It's ridiculous.
Ethan, I think that was at a peasant show though. It wasn't Armchair, but that was...
No, it was not, Gabby. I'm just sitting on this hill. I'm willing to down this hill. It was a Sisters and Systematic show at Armchair. You can check the Instagram. It was ridiculous. It was so awesome.
Okay. I'm sure you're right.
Thanks for trusting me, Gabby.
I'm not sure, but okay. I'm just gonna.
What's your favorite?
I will go look at the reel and fact check.
Yo, fucking look at the reel, bro.
Yeah, no, sorry, she's an academic, honey. Like sources, because I remember that peasant show where the car cut out 7 times during our set.
No, that's you confusing it because that one was terrible. Like that one felt.
That one was terrible.
I'm talking about the one where they changed over the generator and it ended right as we finished.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I still think it was at the peasant show, but okay.
No.
Anyway, my favorite show, the first time that we played properly as a band at Evil, I consider that our first gig, and it was the first time I've ever had a mosh pit. So that was pretty crazy. I was like, oh my gosh. This year, I gotta say, Smoking Kills was pretty insane.
It's ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous. We love Joburg so much. And we were so positively surprised by like just how excited people were just to meet us and to be there with us. And we got invited to braais and we went to people's houses, and like the Cape Town scene isn't like that. There are a few bands and they're all like, it's like the Durban Cats and stuff who are very open and they want to hang out and all this stuff. We've been trying to like create a bit more of that community, but we were so just delighted with the way that we were being received by people just as human beings, you know? And the show was like absolutely wild. And then the Sunday afterwards, we did a little pop-up show in Soweto, which was probably like my favorite show that we've played, because I think it's important. And it's one of the more different shows that we've played, where it was free and it was an all ages show. It was totally open and public, and it felt like properly punk. And as a band, I know that we'd like shows like that, where they're truly accessible.
Yeah, I remember like falling on my ass several times in the dust.
Like in the pit, yeah.
It was funny, like when 21 Children were playing, I was standing on the side and then I saw this bloke look at me and he go like, bro, you need to come in here. And then he pulled me in.
Yeah.
And then I was bouncing all over, and then I slipped so much. And like I had bruises the next day.
And shame you lost all your shoes.
My shoes
the
are
new
like
shoes.
I had new shoes that got the red dust of Soweto, and they have not left it. I've tried cleaning it, but I think I'm kind of leaving it like that now. It's a pretty awesome reminder of that day.
Yeah, it was a great day, and I think that like shows like that make me want to develop the community more. Yeah, we love a little DIY community, counterculture, anti-commercial, no sponsorships. We're all just doing this out of the goodness of our hearts and drinking box wine. We love it.
Do it for the love.
For the love.
That's perfect.
Do it for the answer.
In Holy Tuesday, you say you've grabbed a smoke in every bar. So if I only had one weekend to explore Cape Town, which music venues should I visit? Give me your top 3.
Top three. Let me think. Evil, 10 out of 10. But you gotta go to Evil on the night where there's something happening. It's kind of like a community center in the way that like it's not open if nothing's happening, but like that's where you go host a party. If you're queer or trendy or like kind of cool, like Evil's the one. It's disgusting. There's cockroaches everywhere. There's writing on the walls. There's no rules. Yeah, I've had some of the best nights of my life at Evil. I will attest to that.
I was there last night.
What was happening at Evil last night?
It was Papa's.
Woo! Papas!
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. It's cool. They got a nice pub downstairs as well called the Stag's Head.
Bernie runs it with his dad.
Yeah.
His dad runs the pub downstairs. And he's like an old Bali with a little ugly white dog.
Shout out Bernie.
Shout out Bernie.
Really, really awesome man. Love him.
Bernie's also, he's like kept Evil this incredible non-commercial venue. It's always been a space where there's been a zero tolerance for discrimination. It's always been a safe place for queer people. I literally remember Bernie putting me in an Uber home when I was underage at Evil shows. Like, this man is out here doing the work. And then what else, Ethan? What's your favorite place?
I'd say I think that venue-wise, like, there's a lot of potential, and we've enjoyed a lot of shows at the district, and we've enjoyed like shows other places. But I think I'm starting to also enjoy the novelty of playing at skate parks, which is like kind of been a thing that I've noticed. Scrubs have been doing a lot as well in Belito. I think it's Belito, is it?
Belito.
Am I mistaken there? But it's just clapping it by a half pipe or something. And we did that recently at the Shred. And I think I want to see more punk shows there. I want to see more music there. Like, I think it's such a great combination of like interests and styles and collectives. And it was so cool playing there the other day. There was I think it was called No Strings Attached.
Yeah.
And it was
Cape Creative Collective.
Shout out Cape Creative Collective. They're amazing as well. Really great news outlet, events collective. But I think personally I'd pick that as a favorite venue if it can be qualified as such.
Yeah. And then, like, this is not to play, but just to go, like, One Park Listening Bar. It's amazing. Okay, look, cost 200 Rand for a cocktail, but it's the only place that I know in Cape Town where you can go and listen to a DJ set, and it's not the same genre for the entire set. And very much a listening bar. And I used to work for the other radio, so a lot of the cats who were involved there are involved with this. It's a really cool space. That gives platform to a lot of different kinds of music. Like, on any given, you go there on a Thursday, they're playing like Zam rock and Ethiopian jazz, and the next day they have like a modular techno setup. It's a really cool space, and it's also nice because it's not like a club. Like, the intention is very much to go sit there, have your expensive, delicious cocktail, and actually listen to the music. And it's not so loud that you can't like talk to people, which I really appreciate. So for a swanky little non-gig drink, I would go to One Park for sure. I always end up like listening to great tunes and meeting really, really interesting people there.
So you've got Punk Prom 3 coming up. Tell me, what can we expect and who else is playing?
Ooh. Yeah, I think we can probably say it because it's only being released 13th.
Yeah. So Punk Prom is an idea we had with Yanni when I was living with Yanni in our first year as a band. Because, like, I don't know about you, Megan. I don't know if you were punk in high school, but like, my matric dance sucked ass. It sucked so bad. Like, we had cold Chinese food. The grade 11s were dressed up like geishas. I'm sorry, the matric dance theme to my matric dance was Oriental. My brother in Christ, we're in a white suburb in Cape Town. No. Anyway, but I realized like the majority of alternative people and queer people had a shit time at their matric dance. So this is our attempt to sort of like do it again, but it's the matric dance that you wish you had. So, you can go as all out as you want to, but it's just like, it's a celebration of being a punk and being a queer. And if you weren't popular in high school, like, you can come relive your glory days and redo it. And that was the idea.
Yeah, and the idea is also to make it a bit of an event in itself for dressing up, but not necessarily putting any rules behind what dress up is to you. And if someone wants to be formal, they can be formal. If someone doesn't want to be formal and wants to have like less on, they can, you know. And I think it's so long as you are feeling good about yourself and whoever you go with, whether it's a group or your partner or just yourself, and you chill in the photo booth and you take a nice photo, because that's been a consistent thing, like just to play on the prom dance or the matric, or
Yeah.
there has to be a photo booth to commemorate the experience. And we've always made sure that we have a photographer that is chilling there for at least 3 or 4 hours of the event where you can have a photo. And then we give it, we upload it on a drive for people, and it's free access for them, and they can like print it themselves, you know.
Yeah, and it's like taking this very antiquated idea that was very exclusionary to a lot of people, because it's so patriarchal and conservative. And you know, I just think about like, I used to go to girls' school. I think about like our school dances and how like you're so excited, like everyone's like dressed up for this thing, but you actually get there and like you feel you're too awkward because it's like this weird institutional thing. And so we're just taking all of the institutional stuff away from a matric dance and being like, all right, so you can dress cute, you can come do a photo, you can come listen to some bands. We're going to play ABBA afterwards. Like, it's fine. It really is supposed to be a celebration and like a prom night for the punk community and for people who like didn't get to be prom queen or wouldn't have been prom queen. It's for Carrie.
Yeah.
Punk prom is for Carrie.
Yeah, like the also the one thing also we've had consistent is a drag MC.
Yeah.
And the drag MC, whoever it is, for twice now it's been Amanda Prest, and you'll find out who's the one for the third one. But we always do a lip sync battle in the beginning, and we've had recordings for both. It's quite epic.
Last year it was me and Amanda Prest doing "Bring Me to Life" by
Evanescence.
Evanescence.
Yeah.
But yeah, it like actually now that we're talking about it, I think it is very explicitly a queer punk event. It's like kind of marrying punk rock with the gay community and being like, no, this is like balls to the wall, like gay punks. What's up? This is for you. And they come to the party.
Megan, I'll send you the clip of Gabby and Amanda Prest singing that song because I have it, and there's a great clip where Gabs is about to say "Wake Me Up," and Gabs like head bangs down, and the glasses fall off immediately. It's like really.
Oh, yeah.
I'll send it. I have it.
That's funny. But yeah, this year we have Salt Ash playing at Punk Prom. Systematic is also obviously playing at Punk Prom, and then we have 21 Children from Joburg, which we're so excited about because we met them when we went down to Joburg in April, and I can honestly say some of the coolest and sweetest angel babies I've ever met. It's so funny how the majority of punks and like people who you'd think would be really hardcore and edgy are actually just little goobers under there. They're just like little angels. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, 21 Children and Soul Dash. We're really, really stoked to have them on. I think it's going to be a really sick night.
Yeah, and we do like decor, usually lots of stars, and you know, we make it cute. We make it really sparkly and cute. I like personally want it to look like a 13-year-old girl's like bedazzling face just vomited all over Evil.
Yeah.
That's the look I'm going for.
And also prom royalty, like I think we crowned 3 people.
Yeah, we have genderless prom royalty. So like the 3 best dressed people, you know, during one of the performances, we'll give them a prize, a little celebration, they get to take photos and things. So it's cute. We're really trying to like take this idea, this thing that is so like institutionally boring and bland, and give it a modern facelift. Because I do think that like we deserve to celebrate ourselves.
It sounds like it's going to be an amazing night. What a great idea. My last question before we wrap up the episode. Punk is about resistance. So if we all signed up for the cause, what would you change about the industry?
Let's start with paying people for their music. I think that's a really, really good place to start, is like if we could all just like actually pay for music, like if Spotify just wasn't a thing, that would be nice.
I'd add to that. I'd add to that with payment. There's been certain situations now where certain venues reserve a deposit for the artists before and after they play, and I think normalizing that potentially for places or establishments that can afford to give a deposit can keep the fluidity going for any musicians that are, taking a lot of their time and effort to work on their craft and give a service to an establishment.
Essentially, we need to unionize.
Yeah.
We need a union.
But I think that's one way to go about it, because one can just say, pay musicians more. But I do think that this way it works, because I think a lot of artists have faced issues. I mean, even with like the biggest festivals where they still get late payments, and it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think it's a right thing to go about it, especially with this growing music industry post-COVID in South Africa, where there's a lot of artists that are keen, but there has to be compensation, and prioritizing the compensation, I think, can only aid the growth that is going on.
I believe that too. I think we should start a union just so that we can like actually formalize these kinds of things and make demands, because it's very difficult as independent musicians, independent artists. When we talk about the music industry, we think about musicians, but like actually the music industry is much bigger than that. It's everything. It's bars, it's venues, it's the photographers, it's the people running the gigs, it's the person doing door, it's the person doing merch, it's the people printing merch. It's an ecosystem, and in that ecosystem we live in this very unequal thing where there are certain organizations that have a lot of resources, and the rest of us we have to band together and demand better for ourselves, and we have to figure out how to make things work by ourselves without the capital. And so I think if there was a way that we could like formalize this, then if there was a way for you to like sign up and join some kind of organization that would help you to get paid properly, would help you to confront venues about their booking policies, that kind of thing would be really, really useful. It's just that like all of us are already overworking ourselves and not getting paid, so nobody has time to actually set up something like that. But yeah, there is a lot more work than just the music that goes into this. I'm sure you know that, Megan, like Sludge Underground, you guys are also part of this music ecosystem, and we can't exist without each other. So I think it's important to acknowledge that it's not just people making music, it's everything around that as well. And it's about also creating spaces where and opportunities where we can make more money for ourselves, and also to invest back into our communities again.
Pay people, normalize deposits, and unionize. What a solid way to end off.
Unionize, demand your rights, know your rights, overcharge. No exposure gigs.
Yes.
Mm.
Gabby and Ethan, which track from Systematic should we play out with?
Play Hysterical Millennial.
Hysterical, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Fantastic. Where can people find you and get a hold of your music? Give us the handles.
We are at Systematic Music. That's CISTAMATIC music on Instagram.
Yeah, we have a TikTok, and we are gonna be posting more content as well eventually on YouTube. Like we have a YouTube channel as well. There's like the one music video Teeth that we filmed, and then we also did a music video with a lovely Russian filmmaker Georgy Gupko for Over. Definitely check those music videos out. I'd say both have different production value behind them.
And also, like, Ethan and I do things outside of Systematic, which are also cool, because I run events and I also release music. I'm at Hall Skopper. That's like Hall Skopper, to speak Afrikaans. But you'll be updated with Systematic stuff. Yeah. So you should follow Ethan. He's E.im. Is that it?
Yeah, it's pronounced I'm, and I do have music out as well. Like I singles earlier this year, and I have plans to make an EP very soon. And Gabby also has.
All right, and for everything sludge, visit sludgeunderground.com. You can keep up with local music news and get some merch to keep our mics on. If you need new friends, join our Discord, and if you need new music, Systematic is playing at Punk Prom 3 on November 15th. Ethan, Gabby, thank you for hopping on the pod and giving us the goods. It's been a total treat.
Thank you for your velvety voice, Megan.
Thank you for the lovely interview. This was a very relaxing talk.
Yeah, it was a very relaxing talk. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. This is Hysterical Millennial by Systematic.
for listening to today's episode of Sludge Underground. If you enjoyed the show, we'd love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're aiming for 500 subscribers, and with your support, we can get there. Every subscription helps us bring you more great content and insightful interviews. Don't forget to check out our exclusive merch store for some unique goodies. Your support keeps the podcast thriving and allows us to continue delivering quality episodes. Hit that subscribe button, share with your friends, and stay tuned for more exciting content. Until next time, take care and keep watching.